What's going on, weirdos? Doom Diggity here with what'll be the first in a series of tutorials and build guides to help you set up a new world. So recently, I've been working on an upcoming project with my friend Lenny, and this project has me thinking about the way I start a new world and how I do things pretty early on. Now personally, I'm pretty lazy, and anything that makes my life easier, I'm all for. And with this in mind, here are 7 simple builds I try to incorporate into all of my worlds pretty early on. Now the first thing we're going to set up is going to be a tree collection point. One of the things I hate about early game is running around collecting trees one at a time and then replanting them. Usually when I build, there's a lot of trees around. I try to build in forest or around them, and removing the trees just sort of detracts from the whole aesthetics. So I like to set up a tree collection point pretty early on, that way I only have to clear enough trees to build my house. And this is real easy to do. All you need is some sort of building block. Here I'm just using cobblestone. You can also use dirt or logs if you want. And then you need some slabs and some saplings. So this is real easy to set up. Single wide trees will actually grow in a row next to each other. But with oak, they tend to get too big if you just let them grow wild like that, and then you got branches that are everywhere you have to pillar up to get some of the logs, and it just makes it kind of a hassle. So what you do is you take your building block and you come up 6, and then put a slab there. Now that's a bottom half slab, so you don't have to worry about monsters spawning up here. Come to the other side of where you want to do this, and you do the exact same thing. Come up 6, put a slab, and then all you want to do is connect the slabs and then remove the building block that you pillar up with in the first place. Now what you can do, you can just plant all your oak saplings here, and they'll all grow one at a time, and eventually you'll have this big line of oak logs that you can just stairway your way to the top and just sweep back and forth, clearing all of them without having to worry about running from tree to tree. Once you find an area where you're going to make your farm, you need to get rid of all the grass, all the flowers. Just go ahead and punch those. You might even get some extra seeds from it. The next thing you want to do is put a water source. They can actually saturate land up to 4 blocks away, so there's only 3 here. And then right here is where the saturation will end. So what we're going to do is put another water source right here, and that'll saturate everything, giving you a chance to increase your yield a little bit. The next thing you want to do is grab your hoe and go ahead, right click on it, and you'll see it saturates, turns darker in color. Now if there's no water source, it'll stay this lighter color, and eventually it'll break into regular dirt. The next thing to do is actually plant your crops, and usually, like I said, you start out, you just punch a bit of grass and you end up with wheat. So just go ahead and place it in rows. Now the reason I'm skipping and doing wheat every other row is because if you grow the crops in one big field, it slows down the growth rate of them. If you do alternating rows of different crops or just leaving a blank space of tilled land in between them, that'll increase the growth rate. Now you can also go through and fill those extra spaces with a different crop, and that can be any crop really. It can be carrots, potatoes, beets, and that'll increase the growth rate of all this and give you a better yield overall. Now another great source of food early on in the game is going to be sweet berries, but if you're anything like me, you hate dealing with them. When they're the little plants, they slow you down. When they're grown up, they have a thorns effect, and it'll do a bit of damage to you whenever you go near them. So to make things a little bit easier with the sweet berries, the way I always do it, just like the crops here, you plant them in rows, but I leave the ends clear, and then all you got to do is put a fence post on both ends, and then put a line of slabs over top. what the slabs will do, you can walk right up here. You can still see the berries hitbox, so you can still harvest when they're fully grown, but you don't take any damage and you don't get slowed by them. So what I'll usually do, just like crops, I'll put rows of sweet berries, just like this. And then you can harvest them just like you would any other crop. All you got to do is walk down the middle, hold the right mouse button, you'll pick the berries off of the plants. And that's sweet berries. That's one of the easiest food sources to grow. These give you a lot of berries. They don't fill a lot of your hunger, but they do help greatly when you first start. Now, when you have your crops in place, you will collect a lot of excess seeds from the wheat. And for the most part, they're garbage. But as of 1.14, when composters were introduced, you can actually use all those excess seeds to make bone meal to help you grow more crops, more trees, and your sweet berries faster. And the easy way to do that, all you need are composters, a couple hoppers, a couple chests, and a bunch of seeds. So you can do this as a single setup or a double setup. So for convenience, I'm just going to do a double setup. So all you need to do is set your chest up and then shift down, and then you can click into the back of the chest to put hoppers directly into it, and you can see the hoppers curve into the chest. And then all you need to do, hold shift again, put your composters on top of the hopper, put more hoppers on top of the composters, and then put more chest on top here. And for this one, you need to shift and click on the side of the chest to create a double chest. And this is basically an automatic bone meal farm. All you need to do is open the chest at the top and put your seeds in, and you can see them ticking down. They go through the hopper, they go through the composter, and you can watch the composter fills up. And when it's full, you get a piece of bone meal that's dropped down into the chest here. So now all the excess seeds you have can be used to help you grow more food, more trees, or whatever you need. At this time, I want to let all of you know that here within the next few weeks, my friend Lenny and I will be starting up a two-person Let's Play series. Now this should be pretty interesting. Lenny kind of has the personality that can best be described as an over-the-top senile old man. And personally, I think some of his experiences from the 60s might still be affecting him, if you know what I mean. Now this old dude has little to no experience with Minecraft other than running around and yelling at sheep. So he's going to be taught how to play as we go along, and we should all have a chance to watch him develop his own build style in due time. I have a few over-the-top designs in mind for myself, and I imagine Lenny, being Lenny, will be pissing me off like he always does and making me kill him a lot. So if you have any ways for me to murder Lenny, just let me know. Now the next thing I want to go over are bees. Bees were added in 1.15, the most recent update to the game. And what you have here is a bee's nest. Usually you'll find 1 to 3 bees flying around it. And when it's full, you'll know because there's going to be a honey texture on the outside of the block. All you need to do is find one of these, use some shears on it, and you'll be able to collect honeycomb. And you can use that honeycomb to go and make yourself a bee's hive. And then all you have to do once you set your beehive is lure some bees over from here with a flower, and you'll be able to farm bees. Now bees, when you grow them, when you raise them, they give you 2 benefits. You can collect honeycomb to make the new honeycomb block, which has a really unique texture. You can also make honey blocks, and the honey blocks are a little bit better in my opinion than the honeycomb. They actually have function. You can use them to make different types of farms, all sorts of things. Now with this, it's real easy. All you gotta do is dig down one, put some campfires down so there's smoke going into the beehive, and then once you have that, you get the beehive set up, you got the smoke coming up, and whenever you see the honey texture on the front of these, you can come up with bottles to collect honey, you can come up with shears to collect the honeycomb, and there's no problem whatsoever. The bees won't become aggressive, they won't attack you. And if you put some slabs over the top of it, it reduces the smoke particles. If you're anything like me, you hate waiting on furnaces. One of the big issues I have with furnaces is you can only put 1 stack in at a time, and you're limited. If you don't have a full stack of, say, iron and you need to make some charcoal for torches, you have to sit by your furnace and put them in one at a time. So what I like to do is come up with a semi-automatic furnace design, and I usually go for the double furnace. Now this is real easy. It's very similar to the composter. All you need to do is set your double chest, and then shift click some hoppers into the back. Now instead of the composter, you're gonna shift click your furnaces on top here, and then get some more hoppers on the top, and then another double chest. And what this will do, anything that comes into this top chest will go into the top slot of the furnace as the material you're cooking. So then you just need to come around to the back of the furnace, shift click some hoppers into the back there, and then put some more chest on top here. And what that'll do is anything that comes into that chest goes into the bottom slot as fuel. So here, just for example, I got some sand in the top, throw some coal in there. And you can see the coal and the charcoal and the sand are filling up in both of them. They fill up evenly. And then whenever they're done cooking, the glass will be output down here. Now one of the last simple builds I'll try to set up in every world is a cow crusher. These are great to have, but I usually wait until I have a source of food before I'll work on one. And the only reason I do that, it's time consuming to breed up enough cows to actually do this. So as far as building it goes, you need a chest to collect your drops in, you need a hopper to put them there, you need some sort of structural block, some sort of transparent block. It can be stairs, it can be glass. You need a fence, and you need water. Now the way this works, dig it, hold down, set your chest, come behind the chest, and then you shift click a hopper into the back. So now anything that goes into the hopper goes into the chest here. And then what you want to do is come up 2 more blocks on 3 sides of the hopper. And then above the chest, I'm just going to place a temporary block right there. That way I can put a stair upside down. That way I can still access the chest. Get rid of the temporary block and then put another one right there. And then you're going to want a way to get up and down this thing, so I'll put stairs on both sides there. And then you come up here, you click a water source into the bottom block, and then put a temporary block there. And now at this point, you're going to need cows. So you can lure them with wheat, you can bring them with a lead, you can find a way to push them in a minecart over here. Doesn't matter as long as you have some cows. But since I'm in creative, I'm just going to come through and use a spawn egg. Now this creates a 1x1 area for cows to stand in, and even though they look bigger, they will fit. Their face just might stick out a little bit. Now the way the game works, there is a mob cap of 24 in a 1x1 area. So as I just create the cows here, you'll see them bouncing around doing their cow thing. But once you hit 24, any additional cows that come in here, one of the previous cows dies. And Minecraft, in a moment of kindness, will kill the adult cows instead of the baby cow. And what that'll do is it'll collect raw beef and leather down here. Now this is the reason you bring a fence. Normally I try to do this before I get this many cows in here. But all you need to do is click a fence post onto that temporary block, and then you can break the temporary block. So what I'm going to do is just go away from there until the cows sort of settle down. Eventually, if you get far enough away, they will stop bouncing around everywhere. There you go, the cows stop jumping around. And all you need to do now is come up here whenever you're at your base and just right click with wheat in your hand to feed them. You'll be able to see the cows will start to die off. You start to get the death particles. And then you just open this chest, you can see the leather and the beef racking up. And that is a cow crusher. There it is, folks, the simple builds I always try to incorporate. Hopefully you find this info useful. Maybe you even learned something new about the game. I don't know. Either way, I'd love to hear some feedback from you, so drop a comment and stay tuned for more tips and simple builds. Later, y'all.